Apple, based in Cupertino, California, is one of the most valuable companies in the world. It produces popular digital gadgets, including Macs, iPods, iPhones, and iPads. The company was founded in 1976 by two young hackers, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Its second product, the Apple II, was the first personal computer to achieve mass-market success. In 1975, before establishing Apple with his colleague, Steve Wozniak was a hacker working for HP, while his colleague Steve Jobs designed video games for Atari. Reading popular electronics, Wozniak saw instructions to make a terminal using cathode tube. Using available parts, he created a terminal that displayed letters and numbers in 24 lines with 40 characters. That same year, Wozniak also started being a part of the meetings of the California Computer Club. Inspired by Altair 8800 and IMSAI, he made his own microcomputer where he used the terminal he made earlier. However, the prices of microprocessors were too high, so he projected computers on paper and waited for the day of finding a processor that he can afford. He was lucky enough to wait for just 1 year, since MOS technology brought a central unit for only $20. This is when Wozniak writes the first version of BASIC for 6502 and started designing a computer around this new processor. Very soon, he presented his prototype to Homebrew Computer Club, where he met an old friend, Steve Jobs, who was interested into commercializing micro-hobby computers. The two Steves went on ahead in developing and selling hobby computers. Jobs first went to a local computer store, the Byte Shop, with the name to sell an idea about a hobby computer. The owner was willing to pay $500 for 50 samples. The first Apple computer had the following characteristics: used the TV screen, had basic ROM routine, and saving and storing files was based on a cassette player. Apple I was a very simple but revolutionary computer, especially due to design and small number of parts. Later, Ronald Wayne joins the two Steves in building and developing computers. The group struggled with finances, where Jobs managed to find many different ways in enabling Wozniak and Wayne to build the computers financially as well. After the first distribution, Byte Shop asked for more, which resulted in 200 Apple I computers built in total. With earned money from Apple I, Wozniak started building a new and a better computer. Apple II was much improved than the first version, having a power plug-in TV interface that could show characters and pictures. Since this product required much more money, Jobs managed to get $250,000 from a bank thanks to Mike Markula, with whom both him and Wozniak established Apple Inc. in 1976. Then, Apple II was presented on the first West Coast Computer Fair in 1977. During this fair, Jobs presented the computer to Mitsushima Satoshi, who became the first official representative of Apple in Japan. Apple sold millions of models of Apple II, which was available until the end of the 80s. The 80s brought competitors to Apple such as IBM, which was the brand and a synonym for big business purpose computers, until Apple came in with the idea of commercial microcomputers. Then IBM invented a PC. This made Apple wanting to make an equally strong computer, since their computers were mostly bought by smaller companies. Apple made the Apple III, which was a complete failure due to high price, software incompatibility, and machine overheating. The interesting part is that these faults weren't mistakes made by Apple engineers, but something that Jobs insisted on: no ventilators. Shortly after this, Jeff Raskin and Bill Atkinson initiated on new things on Apple computers, such as graphic user interface, a mouse, LAN, and object-oriented programming. To make this happen, Raskin and Atkinson arranged a visit to Xerox PARC Labs, for which Apple paid $1 million. This was a turning point for Apple because it made them change their philosophy, creating a new computer, Apple Lisa, in 1983. However, Apple Lisa wasn't accepted due to insanely high price of $10,000. Anyhow, the company was saved by the Apple Macintosh that other team of Apple engineers developed. Jobs was removed from the project Lisa and focused on developing Macintosh, which initially was a cheaper version of Lisa. Macintosh, as a super secret project, went out in 1984 and completely changed the computer industry of the time. This made Apple competitors like Microsoft to create their own versions of user interface. In 1985, Microsoft publishes the first version of Microsoft Windows operating system. Apple's Macintosh in 1984 was the first personal computer to be sold without a programming language and was called a masterpiece by CNN. In 1985, a power struggle developed between Jobs and CEO John Sculley, who had been hired 2 years earlier. The Apple board of directors instructed Sculley to contain Jobs and limit his ability to launch expensive forays into untested projects. Later, Apple's board of directors sided with Sculley and removed Jobs from his managerial duties. Jobs resigned from Apple and founded Next Inc. the same year. The Christmas season of 1989 was the first in the company's history that saw declining sales and led to a 20% drop in Apple's stock price. In late 1990, Apple introduces 3 lower-cost models: the Macintosh Classic, Macintosh LC, and Macintosh 2 SI, all of which saw significant sales due to pent-up demand. In 1991, Apple introduces the PowerBook, replacing the luggable Macintosh Portable with a design that set the current shape for almost all modern laptops. The same year, Apple introduced System 7, a major upgrade to the operating system which added color to the interface and introduced new networking capabilities. It remained the architectural basis for the classic Mac OS. The new Apple products led the company to such a success that the magazine Mac Addict named that period as the first golden age of the Macintosh. During this time, the main difference between Microsoft and Apple was that Microsoft was delivering software to cheap commodity PCs, and Apple was into richly engineered but expensive experience. To counter Microsoft, Apple allies with IBM and Motorola to create a new computing platform that would use IBM and Motorola's hardware along with Apple software. After Sculley and Spindler as CEO, Jill Amelio not only cuts costs, but decides to purchase Next and the Next App operating system, bringing, of course, Steve Jobs back to Apple. Jobs came back as an advisor, but quickly started restructuring the company's product line. This is when he identifies the design talent of Jonathan Ive, with whom he went on rebuilding Apple. In 1997, Apple introduces the Apple Online Store, which was tied to a new build-to-order manufacturing strategy. Then the next year, they introduced the all-in-one computer, iMac. The design team was led by Eve, who also later designed iPod and iPhone. By making a combo of Next OpenStep and BSD Unix, Mac OS X was an operating system aimed to combine the stability, reliability, and security, with ease of use thanks to redesigned user interface. Jobs announced Apple's production of Intel-based Mac computers, which led to the new MacBook Pro and iMac. The Power Mac, iBook, and PowerBook brands were retired during the transition. The Mac Pro, MacBook, and MacBook Pro became their respective successors. At Macworld Expo in 2007, Jobs introduced Apple Inc. as a company for consumer electronics, presenting the iPhone and Apple TV as well. Just to note, 270,000 iPhones were sold during the first 30 hours of sales, and no doubt this was a game changer for the industry. In 2009, Jobs had health issues and left for 6 months, as it distracted not only him but the Apple team. But even though he left, Apple recorded its best non-holiday quarter. By introducing iPad in 2010, Apple's market cap exceeded that of the competitor Microsoft for the first time since 1989. More than 300,000 of iPads were sold on its first day and 500,000 by the end of the week. On August 24th of 2011, Jobs becomes Apple's chairman, resigning from the CEO position. He was replaced by Tim Cook. Jobs died in October of the same year and marked an end of an era for Apple. On August 20th of 2012, Apple's rising stock price increased the company's market capitalization to a world record of $624 billion. This beat the non-inflation adjusted record for market capitalization set by Microsoft in 1999. In January 2016, it was announced that 1 billion Apple devices are in active use worldwide. Think different. To participate in this giveaway, subscribe to my channel and write below in comments why do you like the channel. Good luck!